Good morning. My name is Ciara Boyster and I work as Community Facilitator and Global Citizenship Coordinator for Educate Magis. I'm delighted to be here at the 9th JSN Colloquium at Loyola University Chicago. And this morning I'm joined by Pete Musso, who is Assistant Principal for Curriculum and Instruction at De Smet Jesuit. And so we've just listened to the first keynote presentation from Father Mike Gilson, who spoke to us about being entrusted with the mission. And so Pete, for those of us who aren't at the colloquium, would you like to share some of your thoughts and reflections after Mike's presentation? What stood out for you?
Yeah, I think one of the things that Mike opened with was a question that often we open with when we're doing a prayer or when we're beginning the exercises, and that is, what is the grace that we want today? Mm-hmm. And Mike challenged us with, what do we want from this experience? And as I was thinking about his question, I was thinking, I want time. I want to be in community. Mm-hmm. I want to be, have an opportunity for prayer so that when we leave, we can kind of go back to our schools and really do those things with kids. Mm-hmm. Give them time, give them the opportunity to pray, and really ask, what is it that we want? What is it that the kids want?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great. And I think that's one of the things that stood out for me was that question, what do we want? And I think it's a question that will come up throughout the colloquium. You know, we're here for another few days. Mm-hmm. The other thing that struck me was Mike spoke about, you know, building communities, and building communities of justice and hope is the theme of the colloquium.
Yes.
So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I've got a couple of thoughts. When we opened yesterday, there was a reflection by Bill Muller mm-hmm. on the Archdiocese of Indianapolis mm-hmm. and the decision that they have made to pull their Catholicity from the school. And there was overwhelming support for the decision that the school has made relative to governance. And so I was approaching today with sort of that sense of gratitude for the society and the community that the society is building with all of its schools and with lay colleagues. As Mike Gilson was continuing to talk, I was thinking about my own experience of brokenness mm-hmm. and that Jesuits have always welcomed me back. When I was a student, I was full of brokenness. Mm. I returned to the school to teach English, and then I left to work at JSN. And then I returned back to De Smet, and then I left to work at the province office, and then I returned back to De Smet. And the spirit of generosity with which the Jesuits have welcomed me back, despite my brokenness, is a challenge for me in what we do with colleagues and kids in our buildings. Who do we minister to? Who are the broken colleagues in our buildings? Who are the broken kids, the broken students who need love, care, and support to understand that they're unconditionally loved by God? So those are the things that, as Mike Gilson was speaking, I was thinking about those things.
Mm. Yeah, and I think they tie in very well with the universal apostolic preferences that he spoke about.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Is that something that you have thought about as your work? I'm sure you've thought about it, but it's something that is kind of top of mind for your work at school now? Absolutely.
So we are really excited about, I think there's sort of we toggle back and forth between excitement and fear. Mm. One of the things that we're most excited about in the work that we're doing at our school is how do we, it's a question, how do we bring adults and kids to better understand that they are loved by God through having an experience of the spiritual exercises.
Right.
And so one of the things, I think that all of our schools are sort of are working on this, but we're really being explicit in doing this. We have a full-time chaplain that we're really, really excited about, who caters to the spiritual needs of all of our faculty and all of our students. That's his full-time job, and he's a Jesuit. Right. So that's one area where I think we're doing, I'm excited about, and that we're doing well with. Of course, we're educating in a secondary school, and of course we accompany youth. But this is my first time back in 4 years, and being in the classroom, I also teach one section of English, along with working with faculty and staff. I have seen the changes and the challenges that our students face in the world when they come into our classrooms. The elevated political climate in our country, the proper use of technology, how to appropriate the proper use of silence and prayer in our schools. Those are all really huge challenges that I think when we talk about the apostolic preference of walking with youth, that we really need to be cognizant of. I think one of the things that I was thinking of too when Mike was talking is that the kids that we are with on their journey in high school or in pre-secondary school are also broken. Yeah. You know? And so how are we the voice of the, as Mike Gilson said, how are we the voice of the Holy Spirit, not only for one another, but for the kids who we serve? And I think that's really important. I think one of the biggest challenges for us is care for our common creation and earth. And so those are the things of all of the preferences, that's the one that I think that we probably need the most work with and the most work on.
Yeah. Interesting. And I think that the great thing about being at a gathering like this is that you get a chance to talk with others who have probably some of the same challenges and some different ones.
Absolutely.
Because I'm sure there are schools here who are doing a lot of work on caring for our common home.
Absolutely.
Who can then, have a conversation with you on what they're doing and vice versa.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that. Yesterday at the companionship, we were talking as a group. We brought 15 people here, and we were plotting out the Ignatian inquiry sessions that we were going to. A number of them were sessions that were geared toward care for our common earth. So it's great.
And I think that's one of the strengths we have, like within JSN and then also within the global network, is that we're all working for the same mission. We all have similar challenges, and that we can share what we're doing.
Absolutely.
So I'm looking forward to the rest of my time here at Colloquium, and thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, Pete.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, guys.